And who are you?
I'm Riff Randall, rock and roller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dollar Bin Podcast, a record collector's podcast presented by Goldmine magazine. And now, your wacky zany hosts, Dom and Rev.
Hello, all you music lovers and collectors. Welcome to the Dollar Bin Podcast, part of the Goldmine magazine mothership. Please follow us at Instagram on the Dollar Bin Podcast and our email, dbinpodcast@gmail.com. I'm your host, Doc, and with me, as always, is the man who knows the answer to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Rev.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back.
We have a treat for you today, kids. When Rev and I started this podcast, this quest was at the top of our list. He is a musician, author, actor, speaker, archivist, and business owner. Guest, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Henry Rollins. I was born in Washington, D.C. in February of 1961 at D.C. General Hospital, which is now gone. I had straight jobs until the summer of 1981 when I fell in with a pack of degenerates called Black Flag, and my life has been twisted and fairly illegal ever since. I'm now 65, AARP, and I get wonderful fat envelopes from Medicaid telling me about my benefits. And so I'm involved with a lot of things, more on the archival end of things at this point, because soon I will be archived, at least either on paper or maybe floated in a large vessel of formalin, and we can watch my tattoos fade into my skin. And so I'm here with these two fine gents, and they're going to upgrade my intellect for as long as we three stick together.
That's arguably the best intro we've ever had on the show.
That was
man.
good.
Henry, thank you so much for talking with us, man. And to start it off, if you don't mind, was there a record in your history that you first got either given to you or purchased, or an album that you got in your hands and you went, I have to collect these, I have to have these in my life?
It was punk rock in general that turned me into a collector. Before that, I would buy Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, which is all great, for $4.99 at a record store called Kemp Mill on M Street in Georgetown, and I used to work in shops in Georgetown. You know, Some Girls comes out, I go barreling in there for $4.99. I got a record, and I never took very good care of them. I had a close and play GE record player that, the cartridge mauled the records. But it was spending an hour plus of minimum wage pay to get a punk rock single from across the pond that made me very careful with my records. I prized them. And so it was punk rock that turned me into a collector and one who never touched the vinyl with his greasy hands ever again, because it was music that changed my life. And I'm not saying Zeppelin didn't, but Zeppelin didn't affect me the way The Damned, The Clash, and bands like that did. And so I think it was getting the first Damned album and realizing they have singles, and then going to Yesterday and Today Records in Rockville, Maryland on Rockville Pike, near the DC area, and meeting Skip Groff, who produced our early records and became a friend. Ian MacKaye and I were the two speakers at his memorial when he sadly passed away a few years ago. Skip would pull out, here's 4 different Buzzcocks covers for the same record. I'm like, how does that happen? Belgium, Holland, England, Germany. And I was like, oh. And I had to have them. And then, the same thing with The Damned. And the photos are even cooler. And I'm like, well, I have to have those too. And he said, there's promo records where only industry people get them. Here's Dancing with Myself, mono, stereo, whatever, industry only. I'm like, well, I better buy that for $1.99. And he saw I was a record collector. He probably didn't mind my money. And so he would go to England and come back from his buying trips. And Ian and I'm not kidding, we would be the first guys through the door. We would park in the parking lot and wait. It's like 10 a.m., we're right through the door. And he would pull records for me. Like, hey, this is 20 whole bucks, which was a fortune in 1979. But he said, rare record, you should probably get this. And I'm like, ouch, that's a day pay. Yes. And that would be like the marquee giveaway of the Dams, like 7 inches. It's a lot more now. The Cramps human fly glow in the dark, hand glow in the dark written logo, 20 bucks. And in those days, that's a lot of dough, but it was worth it. And now it's in pristine condition. And so it was punk rock, the Damned, Buzzcocks, and bands that had different covers in different territories. It fascinated me. And there's no internet, so you can't find out how many did they press, when did it come out, why did this photo come out in this territory. The internet helped. But that's what turned me into, it's like those UK first wave punk bands with the cool picture sleeves, great music. And Skip, my conduit to the UK music scene, because comparatively, there wasn't the collector boy aspect happening with American music like there was with British punk rock. And so that's what turned me into a collector. And I think, it was probably the first Damned album, the one with the cream pies in the face. I heard that and I was like, wow, every single note of this record is working for me. And I love The Clash and all of that. But man, that first Damned album, from then to now, it's just a bit of perfection. And then there'd be more bands like that to follow. The Ruts, the Adverts, X-Ray Specs, and on and on. But that first Damned album, Ian and I heard that and went, wow, that's the damn band. In June 79, they came to D.C. and some band called the Bad Brains opened for them. We're like, we'd heard of them, but we'd never seen them. And they did like a 30-minute set in front of like a 30% full opening band, no one's there. And they reinvented the wheel in front of us. We're like, what just happened? And the Damned were great, but it was the Bad Brains we were talking about on the way back to our wrecked cars. Like, what the hell was the drummer doing? We didn't understand that a guy could swing and go faster than which we, that's our beat. And Earl's like, like what, huh? Like, what do you do with that? They were playing music at 45 at 78. I mean, it all made sense at going at hyper speed, and they didn't even seem to be breaking a sweat. They're like loping. They're like cheetahs on their way to the meal. And so it was 78, 79 where I became collector boy, hang out at the record store, ask a lot of questions, be a fantastic pain in the ass, and want to learn about all these bands and all this music. And these musicians became immortal to me. Like to this day, every once in a while, I run into Captain Sensible of the Damned. I'm like, hi, Captain. And he's like, hey, Henry, how you doing? I'm like, oh. It's like I'm meeting Skinny Elvis or something. And because these people changed my life, and they made my life better. I'm quite convinced. And they'll never know how much they mean to me. I don't want to lay it on them too thick. But that's a fact. So I'm sorry for the long answer, but you asked.
No, we appreciate it, man. And it is funny. I like that you touched on variant covers there. We interviewed buddy Kim from Channel 3, who's just one of the best guys.
Yep.
And I remember when we were talking to Kim, the first single for them that went over to the UK, and he was expressing the different cover. He was explaining that there was a different variant cover. The first thing I thought was, damn it, I don't have that variant cover. And it is funny how that kind of, it gets in your blood where you're like, oh, well, I do love this thing so much that I do want to have alternate versions.
Yeah, and it's all interesting looking. It all looks cool. You're young. You're just so hungry for information. And it's a certain kind of person. Like as one person very accurately said on the internet years ago, you want to know me, look at my record collection. And that is a real MRI of the id of someone. He's got 3 records. Go to someone else's house. Or a guy like my dad, no music. He was a drag. And then there's people like me. Like, why is there that gray column in your record collection under B, because that's every pressing of the first Buzzcocks record. And yes, all the acetates bought from the producer's estate and the test pressings, and don't touch them, just look at them, don't breathe on them. Because I am that guy, and people say, you don't get out very often, do you? Shut up. And it's just a joy. And like my friend Ian is not like that at all. He has one copy of all those records. I have 13 to 20. And I found the napkin the guy wiped his mouth off on before he mixed the record. I got to know everything. And it's a certain kind of annoying person who falls into that. And we find each other. We have found each other today. And there's like 7 other people watching this going like, yeah, I know. My girlfriend, my parents, and none of my workmates understand, but I'm right about everything. So and
Henry,
it's so much better than a cocaine addiction or being addicted to gambling or addicted to fast cars, divorce, and litigation. It's just records. I just don't think you can harm yourself. So if you want to be a total fanatic, which I call myself, and it's just about records, I just love being intense about stuff. Like I want to get full on about something. That's why being in a band was good. Because like, let's work on this song all day. All right. Collecting records and music sleuthing and having a radio show and all of that, I can go at it at the speed of my insane fanatic single-mindedness. No one gets hurt. I don't need any Bactine for the burn marks. It's fine. I don't wreck my car. I study music. And so I think no harm, no foul. But you will find that kind of person is like 1 out of every 200. I mean, it's kind of rare, that collector head.
When I got married to my wife, we were already married by the time that like we were obviously committed in a legal sense. But then once she moved from Boston to Seattle and we joined our record collections, that was the day that she was like, "This is forever. We know that now. This is the moment. We're never going through this and pulling each other's records out again." It was the joining of the record collections that was like the symbolic joining of who we were.
That's deep.
Yeah, absolutely. It took 3 days.
I never really lived with anybody. I'm a very solitary person. The older I get, the more I understand this. And I never had to blend my record collection. I must be honest. If I met the right gal and she moved in, she had a bunch of records, I'm like, cool, we'll get some carpenters to come in here and we'll build some shelves for you. And you can come over and visit my records in this room. And hey, let's blend our collections. No.
It's a very revealing and emotional thing.
I can't imagine.
We were asking each other. She was like, "Do you need every Journey album?" And I was like, "Look, like I don't want to throw shade. Like let's just put them together and put them in alphabetical order and move on.
Just love each other and be accepting.
Yeah.
No guilty pleasure listens. No such thing."
So Henry, I do want to ask you, because you've mentioned Ian in several of the conversations we've had already. How did you and Ian connect? I mean, were you just talking about music and then you're like, oh my gosh, somebody who's into this as much as I am?
He was 12. I was 13. I just moved to his neighborhood, Glover Park, Washington, D.C., a beautiful patch of real estate. I was walking up the alley, and I was just there about 2 weeks ago. I walked up the alley, stood in the spot. I was walking my Schwinn Stingray up the alley because I was just too weak to pedal up the hill. And down the alley comes Ian and his friend John. And we became a trio. And they said, "Hey, weird kid, you have the same bike. We all had Schwinn Stingrays." And I realized, wow, 2 kids who aren't going to beat me up. A miracle. Because all the other kids did. And they would take my shoes and everything else. Anyway, they said, "Well, come with us." And suddenly I had 2 people who accepted me and my Ritalin with no conditions. And they knew the neighborhood like as young boys do, every roof, every alley, every shortcut, And I just palled around with them. And 52 years later, Ian and I are still best friends. From that day, whenever I'm in DC, I was just up there mixing a record with Ian. I go to that alley, and I sent my manager. I made a video And I said, and I walked down the alley and I said, right here. We met in 1974, 73, something like that. And we've been best friends ever since. John, Ian, and I, we keep in touch on the regular. But to answer your question, Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin were our two communal through lines. So I had a few Zeppelin records. I forget what Ian had, but it was interesting. I had 2 records. He had 1, and he had like Zeppelin 2, and I had like 1 and 4, or he had 1 and I had 3 and 4. Like we yinned and yanged. I had smash hits. He had Are You Experienced? So if he wanted to hear Crosstown Traffic, he'd have to come to my little basement on W Street and 39th. If I wanted to hear Are You Experienced, I would have to go over to Beecher Street to his mama's house and listen. And so Hendrix became quite a topic for us to this day. Zeppelin and Hendrix were just, we actually saw Zeppelin together. Great night. Found a bootleg of the show, actually. First night of like 4 or 5 at the Capitol Center, 76, 77, something like that. And then together we discovered punk rock. And his first punk experience was Feb 9, 7, don't hold me to any of that. Cramps playing at the Georgetown University campus. He snuck in through a window. I wasn't there, I had homework. Feb 15, I was 18 years old in 2 days at the Ontario Theatre. The Clash played. Ian and I stood next to each other and watched that happen. And like, okay, well, there's a new way to think about music. You're with 800 people, not 20,000. And 20,000 is fine. 800 is, you can smell the band. You can walk right up front and hit the guy's shoe. It became real. And then in April of that year, I was standing in a room of 70 people getting sweated on by the Cramps. My first ever club show, I saw the Cramps. And I've never gotten better. I'm still sick. I'm still like, I came down with that flu. I'm 65 and I'm still under the weather. And so Ian and I, we connected through music and bikes and then skateboards and cars, but it was music. And then punk rock turned him into a musician, me into his roadie. And he was the first band on his record label. I was the second on the mighty Discord label. I'm Discord 2. And so we came up with music being our conversation. And to this day, we talk every Sunday in the spirit of 2 old men putting the world right. And we talk about music and the work that we're doing right now, which is like super exciting. And Ian and I are now mixing together, which we just started doing, a new way to enjoy our friendship. We've never, until a couple of years ago, we've never sat in the studio with basic tracks and went, okay, we need to make a record. And that's where you see Ian on a whole other level. He's so good. He just finds the it so fast, like you have to run to catch up. And because he has the ear, he just gets it. He just knows where everything is supposed to be, and he just finds it. It's crazy. It's like a divining rod. And so we've been busy. We're in DC last week. Literally a week ago, this moment, we were mixing a record, which I, of course, can't tell you anything about. But it will be out next year, I swear. And so that's how Ian and I met, and that's how our conversation keeps going to this day. Music is our through line, and especially the bands that brung us to the dance. Cramps, Bad Brains, The Damned, all the local DC bands, of course, Minor Threat, Fugazi, because that's all still kind of in our conversation.
I think that's a great, I was gonna say that's a great segue into maybe talking a little bit about the new Cramps project that you and Ian are doing.
Yeah.
I guess the first question is just like, how did this get brought to you and Ian?
Well, this is all coming from Larry Hardy, owner and operator of the mighty In the Red Records label. Larry does all my merchandising, so all my books and all my stuff lives at In the Red Records. So he does my fulfillment. Hate that word. Anyway, he's the one packing the T-shirts and the books, and may it never end. And I've known Larry for about 138 years. And he's just one of those good guys. He's just honest to a fault. He's just an excellent human being. His wife is a good person. They're okay. They're good eggs. And so many years ago, we're both record collectors, total nerds. I started bringing him, like, here's a rare tape I just bought. I own it. I've worked it out with the band. I can put this out. You want to put this out? He's like, let's put it out. So over the last several years, we have put out Gun Club, Pure Hell, Alan Vega, The Ruts, The Adverts, UK Subs, The Panic, and there's a few I'm sure I'm missing. We super rare stuff for like record aficionados, different colored vinyl, different picture sleeves. Like we'll do one record, two different picture sleeves. Why? Because we're that guy. And so Larry has, for many years, had been helping Lux and Ivy with their foreign licensing deals. He's a neighbor. They're blocks from each other. And I have long forgotten the story of how they got together. But Larry really knows how to renew a licensing deal. And as you might know, the Cramps have Vengeance Records, and most of their titles after Psychedelic Jungle belong to them. Look, Mom, No Head, Date with Elvis, and on, Rockin' and Reelin' in Auckland, New Zealand. And so every 5 years or so, the deal comes up with France, with Germany, with England and Belgium and whatever. Larry would help Lux and Ivy with the paperwork. And he just became pals with them. And he's a neighbor. And Lux and Ivy like his wife, Robin, who's like super cool. And they just became friends. And when Lux needed help loading the Cramps tapes into their garage, there's Larry and Lux loading the tapes into a truck, loading them into the garage. And Larry's been to that house a million times. You know how many times I've been there? None. And so at one point, I said to Larry, I worry about the Cramps masters in that garage. And thankfully, California's better than New Jersey. Snow, sleet. And it's not good. No, weather that fluctuates is not good for carbon-based anything. And tape, you really want to keep it like one temperature all the time. You just don't want to mess with it, especially if you want to keep it forever. And it won't last forever, but you can slow down degradation by a climate-controlled environment. Anyway, a garage is not that. I actually had that in my house in LA, paid the money, got the system, because I have rare paper, acetates, test pressings, artwork, paintings, and on and on. So the house is like this big HVAC system 24/7. It's not cheap, but it's history. So I said, can you talk to Ivy about letting me basically have all of the Cramps audio? You know me, I'm not a thief. I don't need money. I'm not incentivized by money. I just want to keep this stuff so there's bugs don't get into it, because all kinds of things happen to tape. And so I said, I'd love to get all of her paper. I want to be her archivist. And I'm that odd person. I don't want your money. I'm not going to rip you off. I just want to keep your stuff so in 100 years from now, we can go, aha, here it is, in an acid-free environment, kept with great jealousy, and a vengeance to preserve. And I'm the guy for it, fan, ally, asset. So he brings her over to the house, and I show her the whole thorny operation. And I said, here's where I keep the tapes, and I'd love to keep your stuff for you. I'd love to scan your paper, database everything, all of it. And she loved the idea, and she could see that I just don't have ulterior motives. And so nothing happens. Years go by, and Ivy wants to pull away from the Cramps. I mean, the band is gone, her man is gone. She wants to concentrate on other interests in her life. I mean, like, I think it's okay for an adult to do what they want. And so Larry becomes more involved with Ivy on the day-to-day, help me fix my computer. And so at some point I said to Larry, I said, you should think about 2026 would be the year of Vengeance Records. Like, just revive the label, get everything back in print, go, go, go. And he'd already been kind of plotting that. And I said, the tapes, let me have the tapes. I have a new place in Nashville. I put in the money. I have this big addition. It's like this addition to the house. And it's all climate controlled, and it's like really good. And I'm warehousing other people's tapes, and I think the Cramp stuff should be with me. Conversations go on, and Ivy says, okay, outload the garage. I flew out to LA. I rented a van. We loaded the van. I drove all the Cramps tapes back here, and we are now baking, transferring, digitizing, stabilizing, taking tapes out of cardboard boxes and putting them into black archival boxes. not cheap, but I'm paying for all of it. So Ian and I, we work at no cost. We do it for free. I'm actually paying to do this because it's what you should do with money. And so when Larry's in the garage one day with the tapes, he sees a group of 7 quarter-inch tapes in a group. And he said, well, what's this? She said, oh, that was a project we were going to do in 1989 called Gravest Gravy. And it's outtakes from the October 77 Ardent Studios, Memphis, Tennessee, sessions with Alex Chilton that gave you Human, Fly the Way I Walk, Domino, and Surfing Bird. And he said, Gravest Gravy? Yeah, like Gravest Hits in the UK 12-inch. This is more. So it's gravy, hey. And he's like, why didn't it come out? And for reasons lost to time, as we've been saying, the record got shelved. They had a title. They had a cover picked out by the great Stephanie Chernikowski, who sadly just passed away. She was such a great person. And sadly, she never knew that we were doing this. Like she was on her way out when all this got confirmed. And so Larry has the tapes baked and transferred with Brian Kehew, Kehew, who's a real ace tape guy over at Warner's, a friend and ally for literally decades. We get the tapes back and listen, and we do our best to pick our jaws off the floor. It's 13 Cramps tracks from those sessions. I've heard 1 or 2 of them before. One came as a CD extra, different mix, and one is on a bootleg out there somewhere. The rest of it, I'm like, really? They did Hungry by Paul Revere and the Raiders in the studio? If you're a fan and a tape trader, which I am, in early Cramp shows, you would hear them do a number of covers that they quickly shed because in comes original material. Problem Child by Sam Phillips in the live set. Hungry by Paul Revere and the Raiders. They did it in the studio because Chilton said, we're going to record every song you know. Don't worry about it. Like, we got time. It's free. And just shut up and make music. And they recorded a bunch of songs. Who knew? And so there's all these different mixes. I am now in charge of the tapes. It's up to me to pick the keeper versions. And so I now have to become a Cramps interpreter and translator. What's changing mix to mix? So I'm closing my eyes, I'm making notes, and I'm pretty good at this stuff. And so, okay, this take has more hi-hat. They're dialing in the hi-hat. And who's mixing most of the tracks? The guitar player and the singer. So on one mix, a lot of guitar. One mix, a little bit more vocal. So it's like someone needs to kick these people out of the studio and get an umpire. And the last mix of all the different songs, everything hit the pocket. You're like, yes and yes. Oh, that's the last take. So basically, they knocked it on the head and they moved on. So I said, Ian, warning, you're going to be the other set of ears because his ears are much better than mine. And I'm like, hyperbole, exclamation point, always loud guy. Ian is Lincoln. Well, let's take a look at that. Ian, isn't this awesome? I'll take a look and tell you. He doesn't yell. He's just everything like, well, let's sit down, wait for it to cool and see. And he's a patient man. I want everything yesterday. So I take a bunch of nights, I make a bunch of notes, I play my selections over and over, I think I'm right. So I said, look, man, I'm going to send you everything and all my notes, and I want you to let's debate and discuss. If you think it's a different take, I want to hear why, because his ears are much better than mine. About 3 nights later, because he takes his time, he gets back and said, yep, your choices are the obvious ones, and they were obvious. And he said, you have a running order? I sent it. He goes, yeah, pretty good, but we'll do this, this, and this. Of course, his running order was better. So he said, I'd like to work on 2 of the tracks up here with Don at Inner Ear, little EQ, little volume. And I said, go, man, go. And so I'm kind of in charge of this part. So I'm telling Larry, we're doing this, we're doing that. And then we have all the tracks in the right order. Everything is ready for mastering. And I work with a great team here in Nashville, Infrasonic. Ian discovered Pete Lyman, the great mastering engineer. And I work with Pete, who's 20 minutes from my driveway. And the studio is completely in the tank with us on this project. So I watched Pete master this record for about 5 hours. And he really goes right to it. The record sounds amazing. We send it to Larry, where everyone's happy. Revolver, who's pressing and distributing, they want to put the record out immediately. I thought 12 to 14 months. Larry said August. I said, I like that. I want tomorrow because that's my metabolism. But August is fast. So he said, it's August. So you better start writing the liner notes in a press release. Okay. And I did all that. And Ivy's going to sit this one out press wise. Loves the record, doesn't want to be, talking to people like you. But can you blame her? Like, let's just let her do her thing. I said, Larry, I'll just do all the press. Lay it on me. So we hired the Cramps old press person, Jo, who you've probably been back and forth with, and she's the best. And she goes, okay, I'm going to throw you to the Lions. I said, for the Cramps, I'll do it. And so I am doing all the press. I think Ian's coming in for one of them. Of course, they wanted Ian for all of it. We just said no, because Ian's busy, and it's not his problem. It's my problem. And so the record is August 17. There's a 7-inch called More Gravy, which is a Chilton-produced A-side. It's an alternate vocal on TV set. And the B-side is an alternate mix of Can't Find My Mind, less reverb. We went for the big reverby version on the record, but we went for the drier version for the single. The cover is photos of the Cramps that I actually own, as was the back cover. The record is being pressed and hopefully comes out with Gravest Gravy. So Gravest Gravy and More Gravy come out on August, whatever it is, 21. And Bob's your uncle, as they say. And it came out in all these different colored vinyl. And I've been so busy doing stuff for this record, I don't even know what colors. So now I'm getting like fun, angry mail. Like, dude, what's up with the glow in the dark vinyl being out of print already? I'm like, there's glow in the dark vinyl? Cool. Do I get one? And I don't even know what's going on. And so I've been promised my pay is one of each for me, one of each for Ian, one of each for Pete, the mastering guy. And that's kind of all I need. I would have been fine buying them all. I don't care. But I'll take them. And we have another record mastered coming up for Record Store Day next year. Can't talk about it. It's super cool. It's going to be limited edition. And Ian and I are working on another one, which we're almost done with. And then we're working on yet another one that we're getting the tracks in for now. And Ian's busy, I'm busy. So later this year, fingers crossed, we're going to have like 5 days where I can go to DC. And we're going to get into these tapes and see what's what. And basically, if you're a Cramps fan, just understand that Cramps fans are now in charge of the asylum. And we are dedicated to making excellent Cramps records. And we know where the bodies are, and we know it's already been released, and we know it's BS and what's good, and we would never tempt the anger of a Cramps fan. And so if you're a Cramps fan, you have a lot to look forward to, and I would dare say the right people are assembling the parts for you.
As some of those media lions that you were thrown to, I can say that when Doc and I got word that this was happening as Cramps fans and collectors, we were both incredibly excited and horribly scared for the amount of variations we're going to have to purchase coming up in the future. So just the fact that you even mentioned that there are even more colors coming out, we're both excited and our pocketbooks are a little scared right now.
And that's the thing, if you're a whale, if you're, John Dwyer puts out how many, like 20 color variants for each OC's record. You're like, am I buying this record again? Yes, you are. Yes, I am. You're like, I have 15 copies, and I love the record, but like, am I nuts? I must be nuts. But then you look at it, you're like, oh, look. And it's sadly, if you're that guy, again, it's at least it's not cocaine or, cars or expensive wine. It's a record. And so I'm happy to tell you, or maybe not, for your pocketbook, but the record is almost already sold out pre-sale because of the demand. And we put them up for mail order, like Midheaven, I guess, Revolver's mail order, Rough Trade, and on. And it's just gone. And so we're going to do more, and it's going to be an evergreen record. It's never going out of print, and we'll keep coming up with fun things to do with it color-wise. So if you don't find it this time, you'll find it next time. Don't pay too much. Just get the record. Um, and it's it's an actual find. It's like going into the Valley of the Kings, and the reason Tutankhamun's tomb was untouched because it was underneath another king, and the grave robbers didn't know. Otherwise, they would have cleaned it out. And so this record is kind of like underneath Tutankhamun's tomb. It's like the sandal he left behind on his way to the coffee place. And one of the reasons is a lot of the masters went to Lux and Ivy, and the other masters went to Alex Chilton. Lux and Ivy won't even tell you it's Tuesday on Tuesday. Who wants to know? Slam. I mean, they don't want to know. And so the tapes, Larry didn't know about these tracks or this project, and he's there all the time. So Lux and Ivy were very good at keeping things on the down low. I don't think Nick Knox ever knew about this project, and Chilton knew, obviously. So Chilton had the tapes, they don't, and vice versa. So he mixed 3 tracks, they mixed the rest. And why was it secret on his end? Because he was a visionary maniac. And where are the tapes? Who knows? Because he was just a madman, not usually running with a lot of order. One time he asked me, what are you up to? I said, I'm writing lyrics for an album. That's me, like in the dark of night, trying to get it right. And he said, yeah, that'll take at least an hour. I'm like, God, for you, man. And we're just different folks. And so with the Chilton end of it, those tapes could be anywhere, like anywhere. And so I'm not surprised that this thing kind of went under the wire, because you have 2 very secretive people and one maniac. And
So are there Chilton mixes on what you're putting out, or is it all the Lux?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's one tape that says mixed by Alex in Memphis. And this is all in the liner notes. You get All Tore Up, TV Set, and Domino. Okay. And if you listen carefully to the record, the production value is very different. Lux and Ivy are good. And it was probably mainly Ivy, because if you look at the tape boxes, it's her notes on the boxes, and they're very engineered, like half a dB, hi-hat. So like she knows what she's doing. But Alex Chilton is a mix down god. And you can hear a little bit of production value, like suddenly you're like, wow. And that's the Alex tracks. Where Lux and Ivy, it's great. With Alex, you're like, he's magic. Like it's the reason why we still talk about him now. He could do it. And that mixing thing, most people who mix records don't have that. And some people, they walk in and they can just start doing it. Chilton, I'm convinced, was one of those complete naturals. Just like he heard music and just could walk in and go, it needs that. And you can hear his contribution to Grave is Gravy. You're like, man, it really kicks.
That's awesome. That's awesome to know that different versions were able to survive. It's a bummer that, as you're saying, some of the Chilton recordings, we don't know if we'll ever hear them. Is that what you're saying?
We are on the hunt. We are tracking things down. There's things I know. I hate to be a jerk. There's things I know we can't let that out of the barn yet, but we're on the trail. There is evidence, rumors, and people I may or may not be having meetings with.
It's amazing how excited and blue-balled we all are right now.
Yes, my friend. Basically, after we did the press release, we started getting emails saying, hey, I know a guy. And one very friendly email said, soon as I saw that it was you and Ian involved, I knew I could talk to someone. Henry, we need to talk. And so I'm in conversations with all these people, and we're going to see what we can do. Meanwhile, I have just safetied up all of the Lux and Ivy Gravest Gravy 2 inches that they had. I just got those back from Infrasonic, so we are backed up, and digitized. I'm going to be spending my hard-earned on more archival 2-inch tape boxes to keep them safe for the next 150 years. Because the cardboard boxes are showing what years in a garage in Glendale will do.
No, that is exciting. Now, selfishly though, because as awesome as this project is, and it is extremely
No,
awesome,
be as selfish as you want.
it sounds like it's taking a lot of your time, which concerns me because I have to ask, because these have become my Bible, the
Oh,
Stay
thank you.
Fanatics.
Thank you so much.
And when are we getting book 5? Are you able to share when that is coming out?
Absolutely. 5 is finished. It's over like, I think 500 or 600 scans. I finished the 7th draft a week ago. The reason it took its time, there's not a ton of demand, so thank you for getting the book. I mean, people dig it, but it's not like everyone and their dad wants one. It's, by a collector for collectors. Anyway, I've been working on other books. One in particular, I've never worked harder on a single book. I just finished, I think, the last draft. Am I done? Maybe I'm done. 3 years. So everything else didn't get put on the back burner. It got put on the side burner. So when I wasn't working on this one, I was working on the other ones. And so Heidi, my manager and a good pal for 30 years, we edit together. She's been from LA out to my place multiple times in the last 2 years, where we do these brutal 8-10 hour day gruelathons. We do 80 hours in 8 days of editing, where I read the book out loud, she makes notes, and we argue. We fight over paragraphs, we fight over lines, we fight over my poor grammar. And she always wins, she's always right. And so we were working on the Fanatic book, and we had to get back to the other book, which I can't talk about. And then there's 2 other books, my 2 journal books from the 2022-2023 tours. Post-COVID, I'm back on the road. Those books are finished. One is fully edited. It's in copy edit. Stay Fanatic Volume 5, like the first, it's about 170,000 words. Like the first 25,000 words have been vetted by Heidi and I. We've been so busy with other stuff. We're going to have to get back to that book. I'm going to be busy next year shamelessly promoting something. So Heidi and I want to hurry that up and try and get it out at the end of the year, just so I can start getting into basic formatting of Volume 6. There are 10 Fanatic books written, done. And it's about 1.2, 1.3 million words altogether, because I have a folder of Fanatic Alles. It's just all of it. And it's like 2013 to 2023. And it's a lot. And I'm doomed to put them all out to ever diminishing interest. But I'm just cursed. I will finish the mission. And so I think 5 is good. A lot of scans, some cool, interesting stuff. The future ones, as far as a collector, some of the coolest things I've ever found have been in the last few years. And I think it's a combination of things. You meet certain collectors who turn you on to other collectors, sellers, and you kind of go up the echelons of the cooler, rarer stuff that never goes on eBay, never gets auctioned. You just get an email. My German client has this. Are you interested? And you reply, yes, maybe negotiate, yes. And you do the thing, and you get the thing, and you're very happy. And it's like no one who likes that band knows that you have it, because it just went completely under the wire. In the last few years, I've broken into that world of scarcity, and it comes with cost. Okay. So the future fanatics take in all of that. Like, here's the acetates of this record that got used for this famous review in this rock magazine. Okay, well, I can tell you exactly where they are. The cover art for this record, where is it? I know exactly where it is. And on and on. And all of those, of course, get the treatment in future Fanatic books. So in my opinion, they only get more and more interesting. But it's one of those things where I'm too busy to write them anymore. So I'm doing different kinds of music writing. And right now I'm just doing a lot of research on The Cramps, just because of future projects, and some other projects I'm working on because of materials I've just acquired. Or as I
Okay.
say, retrieved, because they should have been with me anyway. So I retrieved them. They're back where they are supposed to be, even though it's the first time they ever came across my transom.
So is there and I'm not concerned about the value. It has nothing to do with the value. But is there that one hunt for something that is at the top of your list as like the greatest personal find for you? It was like this was my holy grail search.
You know, I think yes. Some of them are acetates, and I warned you guys that I would never answer these questions straight. And due to the nature of collector boys, you know them well. I cannot divulge. And do I have a lead on any of these? Hell no. But man, I never stop searching. I will never sleep. I was always after the front cover artwork for an album by a band called The Ruts, a punk rock band called The Ruts. The album's called The Crack, and it's this huge painting of a party. John Peel is there, Jimi Hendrix, Gay Advert, Johnny Rotten, Mick and Keith. All these people are there. And the Ruts are sitting on a couch. And I got together with the bass player of the Ruts one time, and I said, "Where is that painting?" And he said, "It's in New York. An art collector bought it years ago. You should track it down. It should be with you." I said, "Are you putting me on a mission?" He went, "Yeah, go ahead." I tracked the guy who owned it down through the guy who painted it. He goes, "Yeah, I sold it to this collector who's aging out and he wants to sell it. You want to buy it?" I went, "Yeah." And so little negotiation, talking with a crazy man. And he didn't know it was a record cover. I said, I met this guy and I said, his last name was Zamzok. Not kidding. How do you have two Z's in your name unless your name is Pizza? And he goes, I said, "I'm interested in buying that painting. You said it's for sale, sir." What, the party? I'm like, yes, the party. And so we made the deal. I hired an art company along with the artist, and we had that sucker shipped from New York to LA, had it delivered to the framing place, and we put a more stable frame on it. And so I own the Ruts Crack artwork, and it's 4 feet by 4 feet. I've always been interested in the the album artwork of the Dan for the Black album, which is a sculpture that Dave Vanian did. I got it years ago. I own it. Recently, my favorite UK subs record, Diminished Responsibility, their fourth album, 1981. Beautiful, kind of crazy avant-art cover. It just went up at Bonham's recently. It was given away as a prize through Sounds Magazine in 1981. Some punter won it and just put it up for auction, and I bought it. And it just arrived the other day. It's great. It was kept in a bad frame, so there's some staining, but it's intact. And it's where it's always should have been. It took a while. Took 45 years, but we finally got it together. And so as far as like artwork, like records, I always wonder, where did that end up? There's one other one I'd just like to know. It's either thrown away or it's somewhere. As far as records, at this point, I'm down to acetates and personal collections. Like a buddy of mine owns Jimi Hendrix's record collection. It's not a ton of records, but they're on his shelf, and Jimi Hendrix touched all of them. And that's a hell of a bit of provenance. I'm years ago, James Williamson of the Stooges. He said, "You want my Stooges records?" Like, a little bit. And so he no longer wanted them. So they're all here. And I already have them all, but they belonged to James. I'll take it. His first amp that he bought from Sears and Roebuck in high school from his band, the Cobra Seas, pre-Stooges. He sold it. I bought it. It's here. So things like that have been coming my way. Who you know, where you right place, right time, a little bit of luck. Or you just invent opportunities. You find somebody like, "Hey, What's in your closet? Can I come over? And things happen. But my holy grails at this point, test pressing acetates, album artwork, correspondence, contracts, receipts, evidence. I'm after the evidence.
Okay.
That's great because that's something nobody ever talks about is like the little things that are in between.
Yep.
Like I like that you call it evidence. It's more just yeah, it's like the world's natural way of cataloging that these things happen, which is pretty cool. I've actually never really thought too deeply into that, but there's probably receipts for paying for recording time and things like that of our
Yeah.
favorite albums that could be acquired.
Well,
That's a crazy concept.
as you do with your government, follow the money. Um, there's that great Stooges book, Per Nilsson, I believe. It's like every Stooges show ever is written down in a little paragraph about it. And there's this one of the shows, and there's this not a lot of information. And why not? Because it was in Kentucky, and Christian groups is a festival the Stooges were on. And Christian groups from Tennessee and Kentucky said, if you put that concert on and have these satanic kids come to the show, we'll shut down the whole state. And the promoter went, okay, you win, whatever. The guy who was managing the Stooges at that time, someone found his filing cabinets. That's the 5 carbon, page contract was in his filing cabinet, along with a poster for the festival that never happened. It popped up. I bought it. And I told the guy, I go, this is a big area of study for me, the Stooges. It's my favorite band. And he said, man, I know who you are. I like the cut of your jib. I've got some extra stuff from this packet I got. I'm just going to send you all of it. And I'm like, you want some extra dough? He went, no, man, it's cool. We're good. And it's newspaper clippings about the Christians, the church being offended and shutting down the show. Like, you're just not going to find those anywhere. And so now I know why the show didn't happen. I've got the press clippings. I've got the contract that was never sent back because the show was canceled before they could do the deal. I know how much the band was going to get paid. I know how much every other band on the bill was going to get paid because it's all in this multiple page carbon copy thing. And I have a few shows like that. I have back and forth interlabel things like, hey, we're going to drop this band. Like, I have you've been dropped. I have the paperwork, just because filing cabinets go dead and people throw this stuff out. But sometimes people go like, hey, can I just buy everything in the filing cabinet? And I've gone to record companies that, it's dead paper. The contracts are over. And may I go through the filing cabinet? And one label said, honey, just take anything you want. We haven't even walked over there for 20 years. And for like 4 or 5 Fridays, I'd go there every Friday and I go, can I take this stuff? And they go, yeah. I go, you want to see what it is? They're like, no, we don't care. They're like, you take it before the mice get it. And I've got contracts of bands I love where they're putting their parents' phone numbers on the contract because they're like 17. If you don't give me my money, my mom will get you. And it's evidence. And I get to know things and I can connect dots and give good reportage because I have airplane receipts. How much money did this guy spend at this hotel? Well, a steak, a visit to the pharmacy, 5 taxis. It's to me thrilling. It's what you do with a weekend is you study this stuff. And you can tell that rock star, here's where you were on October 15th, 1973 in Los Angeles. You had a steak. No, I didn't. I've got that paperwork. Yes, you did. And I just find that stuff to be of endless fascination because these artists changed my life. They changed the way I think about things. They made my life better. And you know how it is. Music improves your life. Records are good for you to have. And even just being next to them, you don't even have to have one on. If you're just near your record collection, you just feel better. And so all of this stuff leads to a lot of obsessive writing, which goes into the fanatic books and only makes me more curious because you publish something and then someone writes you like, well, my dad was the roadie on that tour. And here's what he said. Whoa. Or, I went to that show. I have the ticket around here somewhere. Hold on, I'm going to go to my mom's house and get that scrapbook out. And 8 months later, you get a ticket from that show because, like, here, dude, you should have it. You're like, yes, I should. And it just like, and Gravis Gravy is a perfect example of a reason why you should never tell anyone you know a lot about music because you'll never know it all, and there's always more to know. Like you love a band, you're obsessed with the band. Guess what? There's something you haven't heard. I guarantee it. There's some mega facts or micro facts that are super cool that you don't know yet. And one of these days, man, you're going to turn over the right rock and you're going to go, whoa, now this, and this makes sense. And I live for that. I'm 65. I'm not going to be an abandoned tour. I'm not finding a vivacious young thing at the gym. Hey, baby, watch me open my Medicare envelope. This is what I'm into. I'm into sleuthing, researching these bands I love. And, I won the lottery. I get to work with the Cramps. I'm the tape meister for the Cramps. Are you kidding? I can't believe my luck. Love this band, love Ivy, love this music, and we are going to crush it for the fans. Like, we have got this. And so much more good stuff to come. And I dare say we're the right people for the job. Me, Ian, Larry, Jimmy, John on layout, Pete on mastering. Just we're a good gang of good eggs. And we're loving this. And we're getting some justice for the band, and we're finding more stuff for the fans. And Larry in the Red, we text each other all day now. And I say to him, I go, you better enjoy this, pal, because we're never gonna have more fun making a record more than Gravis Gravy. And we're never gonna make another record in our lives that will get less angry mail. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. Someone like, well, that sucks. Like, we made a video for TV set, which you can watch on the internet right now. We're getting complaints. What's up with all the AI? Everyone's dead. Like, are you kidding? Like, we're scanning the Dead Sea Scrolls to get content for this thing. And how much did you pay for it? Nothing. So shut up. And I can't believe it. Like, Ian and I were scrolling. We were watching the video at Discord House the other day. And I stupidly scrolled down. He goes, what are you doing? I'm like scrolling down. He's like, you never do that, Henry. You never do that. And I was like, hey, man, I love the Cramps. What's up with the AI? Like, okay. And Ian said, Henry, close that window right now. Like, ding, I closed it. He said, never do that. Never do that. And so this might be the most friction-free record I will ever be involved in. It's like, who would say no to free pizza? Who doesn't want to meet Lemmy? Who would hit a rescue dog? I mean, nobody. And so an album of really cool Cramps music that you've never heard, I think everyone's going to be okay. So this one, we are in our little honeymoon with Vengeance Records, because nothing we're going to do is going to hit all the sweet spots like this one. I said, Larry, you better dig it, man, because whatever else we put out, by comparison, we will get piled on. I'm sure someone will find something.
I think if anyone ever questioned whether you were the right man for the job, I think your level of obsession that you just explained to us here.
Yeah, we all feel this way.
Oh,
I mean, years ago when Ivy was over at my place and I was like campaigning to be her archivist, she's just, and a week later, Heidi and I had lunch with her. We were helping her with some stuff. And she's just a real doll, she's just great. And she's always like, like, she's like this very small, fragile thing. She's like, hi, and hugs you. You're like, oh, thank you. It's just the best. I said, Ivy, whatever you need. I'm like 20 minutes from your driveway. I will get your groceries. I will fix your roof. I will lie down on a mat in the living room and bite any invader. Like anything you need. And we get to work for Ivy now. And it's just such a great calling. And to be able to rock Cramps fans, I am one. And I can't wait to hear Cramps fans being happy, because they're definitely into the right band as far as I can tell. And how often do you get to do something like this? I'm 65. This is the first and only time I've get to put my fingers in the dough to this degree. So
Well,
That's so awesome,
Henry,
man.
there are so many other things I want to ask you, but I'm not going to because you've given us this much time already,
well, you'll
and
pick your top three.
uh,
I talk too much. I apologize.
no, not at all. This is more than we
No,
could have
no.
ever expected.
No,
I
it's more than you need. That's for sure.
no, I will ask you this question though. If you so somebody who's never bought records comes to you and says, I would like to start collecting records, what is that first record you think I should pick up? What would you tell them?
I would ask them what they're into, because if they're into Brahms and Stravinsky and Bartok, I wouldn't necessarily recommend the Ramones, or maybe I might. But you just want to get a sense of what they're into. Like, is there any kind of music you like? Well, I've always had this CD of Ziggy Stardust. Well, there you go. Ziggy on vinyl will change your life. It's how David Bowie wanted you to hear the record. And so if you're a rock fan, I just think there's a handful of records in the rock genre that just excel on vinyl. Like Zeppelin, Hendrix, Beatles, Rolling Stones, like classic rock on vinyl. You know, those Brits, man, they really knew where to put a microphone. George Martin really knew what he was doing. Yeah, Queen, good grief, that's really well produced music. You know, they could all play and sing. The songs are great. And on vinyl, like it brings tears to your eyes. It's so beautiful. I could definitely recommend Ace of Spades by Motorhead. I mean, you're kind of spoiled for choice. But there's just a handful of bands. They really knew what they were doing. Like Zeppelin, you know, Bonham, the guy could just put beats in places like just no drummer thought of that before, in my opinion. And the rest of the band is good too, but it's coming from Bonham. And when you can hear the vinyl, you're like, wow, I get it now. And your body will react to analog differently than it reacts to digital. That's a fact. And you can hear something on vinyl for the first time and people go, oh, vinyl people are snobs. No, we just know it's good. And you keep playing CDs or like off your phone, you're ripping yourself off. You're getting a fraction of the frequencies. Your brain isn't being given all that sympathetic information that makes you go, oh, wow, Buddy Holly's a genius. Yeah. And like you'll get it on CD, but man, your DNA will get it on vinyl. Elvis, forget it. And there's, any Beatles record, it's just excels on vinyl. And I dare say some of those Giles Martin remixes, because you get full Ringo now, all that big fat Tom sound and like, geez, what a drummer. All those Beach Boys remasterings, really cool. All the stereo pet sounds and all of that. There's so many ways to go. But then there's also George Clinton. There's that whole world. There's Prince. There's just, it's why you have a whole damn room full of records. What should your first one be? You should just inquire and try and find out what bands or band brought that person to the dance, and go start there, because you're going to hear it differently, and you'll go, oh, and then you're going to have to start getting extra jobs. I'm convinced most Lyft drivers and Uber drivers, they're trying to get a record collection going. It's a side hustle. It's a good question. I was lucky. I'm of an age, I'm 28, where vinyl was the thing. And my mom, we would go to the record store up to 3 nights a week. We lived across the street from one for a while. And my mom was into Bartok, Stravinsky, Hendrix, Dylan, Wagner, Miles, Coltrane, Monk, Barbra Streisand, Carole King, Man of La Mancha, Hair, Jesus Christ Superstar, like show tunes, and she dragged me to all that stuff. Richard Kiley, last tour of Man of La Mancha, get in the car, you're going. I don't want to go, shut up, you're going. Life-changing. Pearl Bailey, last tour of Hello Dolly, get in the car, you're going. I don't want to go, shut up, get in the car. Are you kidding? I cried. At the Kennedy Center. It is called the Kennedy Center. No other name. It's just the Kennedy Center. Anyway, I was raised by a hyper eclectic DJ mom who played records like all day Sunday. Like 11 records. And if I ever said I like that record, she'd go, here, take it. Back to your record player that eats records alive. I'll just buy another one. And so by the time I'm in 5th grade, I've got Hot Buttered Soul, Joplin in Concert, the Hair soundtrack, Strauss. Like, I was a weird little kid. Of course, my little Beatles records. Sergeant Pepper, all of that, loved it. But there I am listening to Hot Buttered Soul. And I met Isaac Hayes years ago, and I said, it became my favorite record. And he's like, you're all right. Like, we had a really, I said, I was like in 6th grade going hyperbolic syllabic sesquidelamistic. And he's like, all right. And because of my mom. And, on the weekend visits of 48 Hours of Fear with my dad, there's no music, no flowers bloomed. But with my mom, so I know analog. And as a kid, you buy records. I never had a car, so I didn't have the 8-track scene going on. And we all bought records and made cassettes. It's all analog. And it's how I understand music. On the road, it's digital, like headphones or whatever. And I'm, on the road for months at a time. So up to 8 months a year, my playback is digital. So when I am off the road, I detox from digital on the road and I retox on analog. I detox from digital when I'm home, and I detox from analog, or toxify with digital. And so I don't tour like I used to, so I have more time for listening. But analog is how the human is supposed to hear and understand music and human signal, human generated signal. Even if it's a guy pushing a synthesizer around, it's human driven, and that's the way you're supposed to hear it. CDs are a ripoff. There's no music on a CD. It's just numbers. Like, literally, there's no music on a CD. It's just digital information. It's a good, 3-card Monty with your mind. So
we are getting close to time.
I guess
I
the
appreciate
last,
you. Yeah.
yeah,
I was just gonna.
what's your
I
last
do
question?
want.
For myself, I wanted to just ask quickly, what's your favorite Ruts track? I'm also a massive Ruts fan, and we didn't get many songs from them, unfortunately, over the
Yeah,
years. But
it's too bad. My favorite one is also Ian MacKaye's favorite one. It is a B-side called "The Crack."
yep.
And it's just them goofing around in the studio. And I asked Segs and Ruffy about that. They said, we're just the best of friends having a good time in the studio, just, singing songs and goofing around. And we just spliced it all together. And Ian and I heard that in like 1821 when it came out. And we both went, that's our song. All Ruts songs are good, but that's kind of our personal favorite.
That's awesome. Thank you for selfishly allowing me to ask you that. I
No
appreciate it.
problem. Anything
Something
else?
that I said changed my life when I first heard that song. Go ahead, Ty.
No, I was just gonna say again, Henry, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time. You are on the Mount Olympus of guests that we had hoped to get. And just the opportunity to talk to you. I'm going to geek out for 1 second, because when you responded to me via email, I called Rev and I go, I got an actual email from Henry Rollins saying he would do our podcast. I cannot believe that. And so thank you so much for taking the time to share this with us. And thank you so much on behalf of so many Cramps fans for the time and energy and passion that you're putting into this to get this music back out there, because you're right, it deserves to be out there. And I'm really, really excited. I mean, I've gotten to hear it digitally, but I was one of those people who the very first day it went live, I bought the glow in the dark. I ordered it immediately, and I am so excited and cannot wait to have that physical product in my hand. So thank you so much.
Well, I enjoyed talking to both of you. I'm sorry if my answers were too long. I tend to flap on and on. At some point, if you want, we should reconnect and talk about more about collecting and whatever else, if your other questions.
Oh, yes.
I'd be happy to do that. And there'll be more Cramps stuff to talk about next year. And so maybe we can circle back and do stuff about, definitely have a record store day record. We've already mastered it. It's super cool. And so maybe we can get together again and talk more.
We would
Absolutely.
love to do that anytime you want to.
Okay.
Most certainly. Thank you, Henry.
All right, you guys. See ya.